people don't live to just get through life. What do you do now when you're in a situation, no matter what it is, whether you're completely paralyzed or you're completely healthy? What is it you're doing with your life that enhances not just your life, but the life of everyone around you?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sparks of Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Randy Sparks, and today I bring you once again the ambassador of joy, Barry Shore, to the conversation. Welcome.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, Randy, how can I make the categorical statement that the thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that will be either watching or listening are all good-looking? Because by definition, if they tuned into Sparks of Gratitude, it means they're always looking for and finding the good in life. That's a definition of a good-looking person. Looking for and finding the good in life.
There we go, folks. And let me remind you why I said once again we welcome Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, to the show, is because Barry last week and I recorded the most wonderful conversation. And unfortunately, we're going to hold that conversation private just for the two of us. It was too special. No, it's because I made some mistakes and we had some trouble with our audio on that recording. And so we are blessed to have another shot at this and we get to talk today. So second time's a charm and there's so much wonder to talk about. So Barry, many of the people that are listening do not know your story. And I believe that today we're going to uncover some things about joy, about discipline and determination, about resilience and gratitude. And there's no better person I can imagine than you who have learned this the hard way through a lot of pain and wonder. So could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
First, I'm humbled and honored to be here. And I want to just mention that if you want to look me up, then you just look up the following: Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy, because joy is an expression from the inside out. It's joy in your life. And Randy, and I think I may have mentioned last time, and I will say it again, even though people didn't hear us before. When you and I discuss things, we want to make sure that we understand the foundations everything rests upon, which are three things. They call them the three fundamentals of life. And these three fundamentals are: number one, life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. Now, in case good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym. It stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. And as an example, right now, our show is being carried over the internet, of course. If you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, of course, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what this is a word, WHA today. And a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral and touch not just tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet who heard the song. And whenever you hear the opening bars of this amazing song, what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? You can't help, you smile. Now,
I smile and I just feel that, like I feel the emotion through my heart because music does that to me. So
yes, because you're a heart-centered individual, which is actually quite critical to what we're going to be talking about, because the two most important aspects of the human condition reside about 18 inches apart: the mind and the heart.
right. And
It's the shortest distance and the longest distance in the world.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's that sometimes the longest distance I can travel is 18 inches
Right. We're going to
going from head to heart.
So these three fundamentals: that life has purpose, you go mad, make a difference in life when you lead a purpose-driven life, and uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. As an example, we'll use the word smile. So SMILE is an acronym that stands for Seeing Miracles in Life Every Day. Seeing miracles in life every day, which relates, of course, to the story you want me to share with everybody. Now, by the way, the reason I mention all of this is because when you use these three fundamentals of life having a purpose and going mad, making a difference, and uncovering the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms, the result is that you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And who doesn't want that? That's what people really want in life, to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. And every level, we're talking about physical, mental, spiritual, you can do that. So let me give you an example of what we talk about seeing miracles in life every day. I'll use my story as an example. Imagine if you can, everybody, standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And in the evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. I
Wow.
became what's known as a quadriplegic in a matter of hours. And it was not from an automobile accident. It was not a spinal injury. It was a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body and rendered me completely, totally paralyzed, what's called quadriplegic. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, I'm not a biped. I can't walk up a stair by myself, can't walk up a curb by myself. I help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant because of one word. And the word, of course, is smile.
Hmm.
Now, I must tell you something, Randy. I am blessed many times with the ability to not only be on the internet and sharing with people around the world. I do in-person events. I don't travel much more. Where I live in Henderson, Nevada, so everything happens here close by me in the Las Vegas area. And recently I spoke to a group of 1,172 people. And I'm telling the story and talking about seeing miracles in life. And right away, some people raise their hands and say, "Hey, Barry Shore, I've been out for hours. I haven't seen any miracles." They're challenging me. And I asked them, "Are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water, drink, you have food, do you have a place to sleep? You have family or friends?" Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simplest proof in the world. 1,000,000 people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you are watching or you're listening, it means that you're alive. You have an obligation to live life to the full. That's the genius of understanding the miraculous. Miraculous is being able to be here now. No matter if you can't move or if you can and you're able to serve and do things in life, now you're making a difference. Again, you want to be a madman. That's or mad woman. That's really what you want in life, the ability to serve. So Randy wanted me to tell this background story so people will understand that I've been through stuff. So when we talk about what is joy or happiness and such, I have at least some foundation to speak about it because I've been through what we call stuff. And
Yeah.
when you go through stuff, you at least earned your PhD, which is called piled higher and deeper. And I've been through the greatest of all training camps, which is the University of Adversity. And when you do that, you have an opportunity to share with other people what it is that enabled me not just to get through it, because that's really what we're not talking about. People don't live to just get through life. What do you do now when you're in situations, no matter what it is, whether you're completely paralyzed or you're completely healthy? What is it you're doing with your life that enhances not just your life, but the life of everyone around you?
So there comes the question is how did you do it? Why did you do it? And how do you teach people?
So I'm going to answer it all with something that I hope is going to make you reel back and say, "What?" Okay, here's the secret in a few words, and then we'll unpack it over the next little bit. The secret is learn to love dog poop.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I hope we dig in a little deeper to that one.
Okay,
So
good.
the secret
That was
is to
good.
learn to love
Well
dog
done.
poop.
I
Okay.
need to go deeper. But that did shock you, didn't it, Randy?
Yeah, this is good.
Intrigued you, right?
Yeah.
Learn to love dog poop is the secret to everything. Now, of course, there are things around it that we can talk about, and we will. I wanted to get everybody up front, so leaning in and say, what is he talking about? And we will discuss it in depth.
Hey there, everyone. Did you know that beyond hosting the Sparks of Gratitude podcast, I am also an estate planning attorney and I love gratitude, and my law firm is proud to sponsor this video. Since 2010, in my law practice, I have designed and delivered customized peace of mind with sophisticated estate planning made easy. So, whether you need foundational estate planning, including revocable trusts, wills, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives, which is what most people need, or you might need advanced strategies such as irrevocable trust for asset protection or advanced estate tax planning, I am here to guide you every step of the way. Because at the end of the day, your peace of mind is my peace of mind. You can visit randallsparks.com and I can get started helping you plan for the future today. Now back to our podcast.
In the meantime, I just really want to urge everybody to understand that throughout our discussion, Randy and Barry, and I'll say this with your permission, Randy, the show has nothing to do with Randy Sparks, great guy that he is. It has nothing to do with Barry Shore, fabulous fellow. This show is really about you. YOU. You tuned in consciously and conscientiously to Sparks of Gratitude because there's something here. And you're leaning in because you want to know, you want to be able to maybe internalize it, utilize it, and leverage in your life. So it's really about you and you sharing with other people. And by the way, SHARE is one of those great acronyms that everybody can really commit to learning and using. It's SHARE. It stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy. That's what sharing's really all about. And when you do this on a regular basis, you share who you are, and what it is that you want to accomplish in life in the sense of being a part of this great, wonderful journey, which, by the way, is the acronym for joy. Joy stands for Journey of You. Oh, wow, Barry, that's a good one. Yes, it is. Journey of You. That's what joy is all about. And when you do that, you do it through sharing, through being of service. And again, the ability to understand what Randy's doing with Sparks of Gratitude, and to now, we'll begin to unpack this idea of learn to love dog poop. And that is
How do we do that?
that's going to enable you to live life in joy daily, no matter your circumstances. I don't care what is going on in your life. I do want to urge everybody and understand, I warn you in advance that I do use a lot of four-letter words. I even use the four-letter FU word, and I do it because of shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the four-letter words that I use, or Randy will use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, are words like love, life, hope, play, pray, free, gift, swim. And the four-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. FU, capital N, capital N. So some people right away, Randy, are raising their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with three letters. Not in our world. In the world of the positive, purpose, powerful, and pleasant, fun is spelled FU, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, I want you to point your finger, have a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your face, remember the smile stands for, and say, F you, everybody. But remember that capital N right away. So, where'd you get that? So, well, listen to Randy Sparks of Gratitude. He had on this wild guy named Barry Shore, and he was talking about dog poop. And now you got their attention. Now you can share with them some of the things that we're talking about here, because I hope it's going to, what we call, shift your perspective. Now, I got to tell you something, Randy. I've been working with people, highly achieving people, for more than 5 decades. And when I begin to work with them, I don't care what they've accomplished, and most of them very highly accomplished on paper, they drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. So you're going to be effing careful with your Fs. You want to shift your perspective just a little bit, and then you can do what is most necessary in life and learn to use the 6 most important words you'll ever learn.
We are.
Utilize these 6 words, internalize, utilize, leverage, and you will be able to live happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 6 words are choice,
Mm.
not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond to any given situation will determine your path in life and your trajectory. So again, as Rick pointed out, hey Barry, what's your story? Well, I was a multimillionaire. I lost it all. And okay, and I came back again. Okay, not an uncommon story. Happened to me also. I thank God made a lot of money, done very well, just like any entrepreneur. You lose money too. Okay, so that's money. Now imagine I had made a lot of money because I had sold 2 companies just before I was paralyzed. 2 companies on the internet that I sold to public companies. I had 3 issued patents, and now I'm laying in bed immobile at the age of 55, not knowing if I'm going to move again. So what does money mean? Hello? So it's not that's not the story. The story is what do you do when you're in a situation where you have absolutely no idea how it happened, what's going to happen, why? Now what do you do? Choice. How you choose to respond. Can you still live a life of purpose and meaning and make a difference in the world? And the answer indubitably in big, huge letters is learn to love dog poop and yes. We
Well,
having
so
fun?
everybody listening, you're watching him. I mean, you gave the acronym for SMILE. So I mean, tell us again what your acronym for SMILE is.
Seeing miracles in life every day.
Every day. So I see this in so many people that I have on the podcast that smile to me, like you are right now. Smile and joyfully talk to me about the hardest things they ever experienced because it's their choice. Right. And so that's what I'm trying to uncover. So, how did you choose to learn to love dog poop? And what does that even mean?
So I'm going to tell you a story from my 8-year-old niece before we go back into that. A few weeks ago, she came over to me and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile SMIEL? So I thought about it. Smile, smile. Sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life.
Mm.
And I laughed. And I said, oh, you're wonderful. Her name is Rachel. I said, what was she doing though? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, create, by the way, is a great acronym. It stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's really what we're discussing, Randy. Rethinking. Because whatever it is that you're thinking about that brought you to a certain place, if you can create something beyond that, you get into a new space. That new space can take you anywhere. You can go to the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension, and you're no longer bound in any way by any limiting factors. And that's really what happened for me. So actually, let's go in a little detour for a moment. And because you and I spoke last time, I want to speak about again this really important understanding of 2 small words. One word is to, T-O, and the other word is for, F-O-R. Now, as I think I may have mentioned to you, when you work with people, sometimes people frustrate one another. And
Interesting how that happens.
yes, isn't it? Well, we're all complex being, aren't we? And sometimes people do it purposely. They know how to push a button and things like that. And sometimes to get somebody's attention, it's called you want to hit somebody upside the head with a 2x4. Now, a 2x4 is a plank of wood that actually measures 2 inches by 4 inches, and it's a standard piece of lumber that's used to build it, especially structural situations. So if you use a heavy plank of wood, a 2x4, you can get somebody's attention, even a donkey or a mule. That's what it's usually attributed to. However, in life, it's very much the same. It's the shift in perspective from saying that something happened to me rather than for me. People
Right.
are addicted, and by the way, it's not uncommon, especially with younger people. I mean, young people being children, under the age of 75. I want to make sure you're listening. They're usually people, kids under the age, certainly under the age of 17 or 18, unless they're really unique and mature. There's this idea that the world is mine and that anything that happens that's outside of what I want, well, somebody else must be doing it to me. Now, if you've had great parents or you've had a good upbringing and you get past that or through it and learn to live with it and go beyond it, and you realize that everything that happens in your life is really happening for your benefit.
Hmm.
It is a very adult, a very mature, a very deep understanding of life.
And you said everything,
Everything, exactly.
everything.
Right.
That's the key.
Randy is such a listener and he's so good. It's not everything with an asterisk and say, "Oh yeah, but." In other words, if the good Lord has said to me, "Barry, I love you as you know, and here's a menu. Would check off what what you'd like to have happen in life." I would not have checked off being paralyzed.
No kidding.
I'm telling everybody I wouldn't. Now, am I human? Did it happen to me? It did. Now, the question is now, what do you do? What do you do? So, it happened at the age of 55 chronologically. As I said, I thank God had notable successes in life and also notable failures, and had been working for decades, not months or years, decades, on this process called being happy,
Hmm.
feeling enjoy daily. And I may have mentioned to you, Randy, when we talked previously, at the age of 17, I had made a conscious decision. I not wanted, I was going to be happy. Not that I just wanted to be happy, I was going to be happy. And I began to work on being happy because I saw what the alternative was. And it wasn't appealing. Now, I wasn't rich and famous and handsome like I am today.
Right.
I was just rich and famous.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was handsome, but it didn't matter. The
So,
plo
and you decided that when you were 17, but we're digging all around this story here, but these things fascinate me is because as a 17-year-old, you decided that because you knew what the alternative was. But that
Right,
was inspired by somebody, and this idea that it was possible came from somewhere.
correct.
So, talk to me about that.
So, it was not just a somebody, even though there was somebody. It was a group of somebodies that truly attracted me. I was blessed to know a number of people when I was growing up, not necessarily in my immediate family, but close to my immediate family, that were happy. And two of them in particular were also, one was a man, one was a woman, and they were pleasant, well-spoken. In other words, they didn't swear, they didn't drink, they didn't smoke. And by the way, a lot of people when I was growing up, 'cause I'm 76 chronologically, so go back 60 plus years, drank, not to excess, but people drank, people smoke regularly. And I just found it to be okay, that's what people did. It wasn't particularly pleasant. And here were two people that were, by the way, weren't that much older than me. This is also very important. It wasn't these were people in their 50s and 60s. These are people who were about 10 years, 12 years older than I was. And very pleasant, again, well spoken. They enjoyed reading, they enjoyed sports, they were very sociable. They were what we call regular people. And there was something about them that was so attractive without them having to be handsome or gorgeous. It wouldn't be point down and say, well, she's really pretty. She was pleasant looking. The fellow wasn't a great athlete or anything. Just he was a good guy, a good guy. And I said, well, that's nice. Because I had a number of people in my circle at the time, my age, who, if you weren't a great athlete or really cool looking and had a certain car and certain shirts, and I mean, as well, we all know this, then okay, you're not there. And I said, it's not what I wanted. Part of me said, yeah, I really looks good. And then another part said, I prefer this. So I made a conscious decision.
And was it like, were you aware of much of it then? Did you just feel different around them? Was it something you felt and noticed? I mean, how was that?
So the simple answer is yes. These were, remember how we began the show?
Yeah.
What's a good looking person?
Right.
He was always looking for and finding the good. They were the embodiment. They were always speaking about positive things. They didn't blame, they didn't complain. It, and it wasn't, I went over and said, what her name was Roberta, uh, you don't complain to me. And she would have looked at me like, well, hello. In other words, their whole being, it was just,
It
it was
just embodied that
right,
that energy, that
right. And then that is what I understood makes somebody attractive,
mm.
not the clothes that you were wearing or the ability to jump higher and faster and better than somebody else. By the way, all of which are wonderful things. Nothing wrong with that in any way whatsoever. That was not what was attractive. What really attracts people is that unspoken, wonderful reservoir of delight and goodness and delighting in goodness.
And so that you saw and felt this in them and said, "Okay, I choose I see that it's possible and I choose I wanna be like that. I want to be happy."
And I went, no. Did it happen in a day, in a week, in a month? No. Did I go through stuff? Hello. And did I begin reading more? And what I was reading was more towards the happiness quotient of life.
Mm.
Things like Think and Grow Rich, which again, anybody who ever picks up the book and actually reads it recognizes that it's not talking about cash register or bank account and digits and such. It's about life. Think and grow rich. It's about how to win friends and influence people in the most positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant ways. It's about speaking well, about listening well, about having a smile on one's face that originates from the heart. These are to be able to open up the door for somebody, whether it's a car door or a door in a restaurant or again, the smallest, most wonderful human interactions that are possible. So I'll give you one quick example because it's something I've been practicing now for decades and decades. And that is, my mother taught me this actually. She said, the two most powerful words in the English language are thank you. And she told me the time. Now, again, this I was already past the age of 17. It took a while for me to catch on. She says, if you use these two words 3 times a day from now the rest of your life, you'll be happy, healthy, and wealthy. That was just what she said. And I can tell you it works. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. So when you can say thank you to someone else, a real thank you. Now, by the way, even a off the cuff thank you, it's fine. A conscious thank you, and I do it at least 3 times a day, but 3 times a day is plenty. You do that, you have occupied a different position in the world. Out of the 8+ billion people in the world, you are now amongst the 2%, the highest achieving 2% of people in the world. When you consciously and conscientiously use these two powerful words 3 times a day.
You're speaking my language because I tell people that gratitude can change and save lives.
It does.
And as powerful as that is to just embody that gratitude and expression of it or inside myself. So your mom was very wise.
My mom was remarkably wise. My mom was my role. People have asked me, how I got through, they say through, and I mean, how were you able to maintain what others will call a positive mental attitude while being paralyzed? And I had no idea if I ever move again. Now, if anybody's watching, seeing, wow, look at Barry, he's moving his arms and it's great, it's all cured. It's true, I am. I can't get up from this chair, basically still paralyzed from the waist down. And there's another coda to the story, which we might tell about a little later. A few people ask, how did you do that? And I had a role model. My role model was my mother. So we have time to unpack a bit of a story?
Yeah, we'll unpack that, and we got to still remember to unpack loving dog poop. But
Oh,
but
well,
all of this is telling,
yeah, we'll all go together.
making that matter.
Yes. So my mother Frances Ida Goldstein Shore, that was her married name. Figs, we used to call her, Frances Ida Goldstein Shore. Remarkable woman. She was born with a birthmark over three-quarters of her face, a very big red wine stain and pockmark. Now, imagine in today's world, we have this thing called bullying at school, right? And there's all kinds of, I mean, it's a national concern, maybe even international concern. Now, imagine going back over 100 years what bullying was like that. And, no holds barred, right? And here's a girl growing up with a red wine stain over her face and such. Can you imagine what she must have gone through?
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I can't either. And yet, yeah, here's the reason why I tell you the story. So as growing up, we as kids, so we got a chance to meet some of my mother's friends from high school who just said, like, and we asked, what was mommy like when growing high school? Your mother was, number one in the school, and she ran this and this, and always outgoing and stuff. Everybody loved her. So it wasn't, and she's the one who taught me. You didn't just get through things. It was okay. So I have this. Now what? And
Mhm.
you hear that?
That's
Now
remarkable.
it is, and that's why we're remarking on it. She went through it and became when you met her, it was beside the point, if you ever saw it. Now, she wore pancake makeup once she got into her, late teens and such like that, so you didn't see it all that much. When Fred at home, she took it off, we could see it, and no big deal. It's my mother, right? Her being was attractive. Her being was positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. I'm gonna illustrate with one story that was just so so wonderful. So, let me see. We I was born in a place called Boston, Massachusetts. For those who the cognoscenti will call it Dorchester. That's how Bostonians speak. And I grew up in the shadow of Fenway Park. So anybody who knows anything about
Yeah,
Boston.
my wife and I were just there a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So there you go. It's quite the interesting place. So we grew up and we moved from Dorchester in Boston to Brookline. Grew up there. Anyway, we lived in a very nice area of the town, and just down the street from where we lived was something called a Star Market, or as we say in Boston, a Star Market, and it's heavy New England accent. So the Star Market is where we shopped. It wasn't a big place. Matter of fact, those days, again, you went back decades, they were relatively small places. I mean, considering what they're like today, usually these things are 50, 100,000 square feet. This wasn't. Neighborhood grocery store. And as we shopped there, one day the manager of the store came over to my mother and asked her, they were going to set up something new called a courtesy booth. So that's a place in the store where people could come and ask information, or if they had anything, complaints, instead of calling complaint department, which stores used to do that years ago. It's hard to even think like that. They had a complaint department where people complained. So here they had the courtesy booth, and the manager came to my mother and said, "Mr. Shore, we would like to know, would you consider working in the courtesy booth?" She said, "Well, let's talk to the family. I'll get back to you." So she didn't need to work. However, when she came home, and said, "This is what they want." We're all saying, "Yeah, yeah." My mom, because we're just kids, right? I think I was 12 or 13. My sister was a year younger. My younger sister was 3 years, 4 years younger than that. Okay, mom's gonna be in the courtesy booth. Okay, so she did it, and she did it, I think, twice a week, then 3 times, then and became 5 times a week for maybe 5, 6 hours a day. Just it she became the face of the market. So why do I tell you this? Because she was great at it, and she was so good at it that they modeled that courtesy booth at her in all their stores. They had, I think, 12 or 14 or 15, whatever. So when she retired, as it were, I think after she did it for 7 years, something like that, and they had an award dinner, and the president of the chain, which had now grown to, I think, 40 stores or 50 stores, they honored, gave her a special Steuben glass cut bowl and speeches and a nice check. And they just said that every year that my mother was in the courtesy booth, they saw an increase in bottom line somewhere between 2 and 3%. Now, in the grocery business, that's a big deal every year. And they attributed it to my mother being there, and she wasn't the only one in the cursey booth at that time. She had one or two other people. I mean, the point is though that Frances set the standard.
Wow, and I bet the whole community knew who she was.
Oh, there's not even a question. We were famous. Kids liked us because the kids. Well, your mother, that's your mother. Okay, yes. So it was an amazing, but it goes to the power of not letting anything physically. And she got married, thank God. My father's a handsome man, pleasant fellow, married, 3 kids. It, there's nothing that can hold you back. So now when I am paralyzed years later, my mother had already passed on, and I had this reservoir of power, as it were, to be able to know that there's nothing, no thing in the world can hold you back from bringing forth joy, happiness, peace, and love into the world.
Well, and it's obviously not holding you back.
Right. And it can't because dog poop rates.
And there we are, and we're back.
Yeah. You were gonna bring me there at some point anyway. You needed to, because
Yeah,
it's
well, yeah, because there's that, and there's something else that I know that's meaningful to you is, learn to love dog poop, and I'm sure somewhere in there is something that you talk a lot about, which is don't complain, don't blame.
yes. Okay, let's so part of that is a great segue again through my mother and my father and the ability, and I will tell a great story of a woman that I met because part of it has to do with, okay, Barry, now that you're moving your arms around and such like that, well, that's great. How did you do that? So part of how I became mobile again in any way whatsoever is through a wonderful situation. Happened to be there was a fellow on the street where we lived. So when I came home from the hospital after 144 days, which is what 21 weeks or so, which is a long time to be in a hospital, and I was
Yeah,
told by the doctors,
that's a long
"I'm
time.
sure you're not going to ever walk again, or movement." However, we have because I was still paralyzed when I got home. They kicked me out because the insurance wouldn't pay anymore. They told me that was going to move and such. However, we have things that we can help you with, and you can do stuff in life. I wasn't listening to them, not because I didn't like them, because I knew that something was going to happen. I had no idea what. I had no idea if I ever move again. It didn't matter at that point. What mattered most is that I was still happily married. My wife, we were married at that point 27 years, and now married 47 years to the same woman, and accompanied home by a person that was with us from the day we got out of the hospital to help take care of me in the house all the time. And again, everybody knows that it's not inexpensive to be ill. It's very expensive. Thank God we had the money, we could do it and such. It's really difficult when it comes to the point of view of just pure economics. It's a very hard road. So to be able to have the wherewithal to go through all the things that one needs to do, it's less daunting when you have a wonderful wife in this case, and good friends. And again, we had the money to be able to handle this. The reason I mention it is because when I came home after being in the house a number of weeks, so my attendant brought me outside in one of these specialized wheelchairs that we have. And while I'm out there, one of my neighbors came running over and he says, "I heard what happened, and I'll tell you, I'm going to have you up and out of that chair and walking within a year." And I love positive people. Hello. His name was Vince, and he said, I know what he does. He was a physical therapist. His specialty was called aquatic therapy.
Mm.
Put somebody in the water and you move them around, and there's a reason for being in the water rather than on dry land and such. Suffice it to say is that, I am America. I'm the greatest aquatic therapy in America. So I'll have you up and walking in a year. So not only did I love him, I believed him. Why not? He says so. Why not? Right? Again, I'm not moving. I'm still quiet. It's going to be this way for a few years yet. However, the energy was there, and we couldn't go in right away. Had to take a few months. And such, but however, by the time we were able to go to a pool, and pools these days, at least where I was in Southern California, oftentimes equipped with something called a Hoyer lift. It's a special device that you can move, put a wheelchair or somebody next to this device, and device you can crank it up or electronic, and it will pick somebody up and move them, put them in the water, and then bring them out of the water. It's quite a country, an invention. We had to use it for me at my bedside for a number of years. Suffice to say, it works. It's wonderful. So we had me in the water, and he's moving me around. And again, we're now many months into the process. Over the course of a couple of years, uh, one day, and well, actually, put it this way: when I'm in the water, they put flotation devices on your arms and on my belly and on my legs, so I wouldn't sink and drown. And they had a couple of these people moving me and trying to get some connection back in my body. I had a rare disease which basically attacked the peripheral nervous system. So it's possible that over a period of time, certain things can grow back in the body and reconnect some nerve endings. And so at the end of a number of years, actually one day I'm in the water and I move one of my arms, my right arm over my head. I hadn't done that in years. Oh, and I then moved the left arm. And then the right arm and left eye, I did two things, what's called a backstroke, essentially. And I hit the side of the pool and it hurt. And I said, yay. And what happened is I managed to turn myself and push. Oh, I don't know if I pushed, I moved. And I kept doing this backstroke. And they wanted to stop me because it was a very celebratory time and they were happy. I said, please don't stop me. Just let me keep going. And they did, they agreed. And I went for 92 minutes without stopping.
Was that
Essentially, I did a mile on a backstroke, and again, I'm not a swimmer. I just did that because I had these devices on me, so I couldn't sink, and it was a breakthrough in my life.
well, and that joy of going from years of not being able to move your arms to being able to get both of them over your head, I'm not stopping swimming
Right, not at all.
until they make me get out.
I'm here. Now, what gets better, and again, I say this not for me. And when I make videos about me swimming, I purposely emphasize that the reason I'm making the videos, yes, of course, it keeps me healthy, and anybody who's watching see this beautiful tan I have and such like that. Because I now fast forward, I did it once, I did it again next week, and I did it again consciously. And then I kept doing it. If I could do it once, I could do it twice, and I would do twice a week, and then three times. And then eventually, after a year plus, they would get it on my tummy, and I use a snorkel, and I use uh, paddles because my hands don't close, and I have still device on my legs so they don't sink. But now I swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. I'm doing it for years.
Amazing.
So I am now I can move, I can swim, and when I make videos about it, when I reach the 1,000-mile mark, and then the 2,000, then the 3,000, if I'm now over 9,968 miles. So I'm getting close to 10,000. But the point is, whenever I make these videos at landmarks or milestones, excuse the pun, uh, I tell people I'm doing it not just because it makes me better. I'm doing it for all the people in the world who say, I can't, I can't. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Everybody, anybody can move, can do something in life. That's the key. Motion is lotion. I learned that from Jack LaLanne.
I remember Jack LaLanne.
Okay, like if you don't know Jack LaLanne, look him up. Jack LaLanne was one of my heroes when I was becoming trying.
Yeah, he was the fitness guy of a generation before me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, what he would do with a chair, you didn't need anything fancy. He was amazing. At the age, I think I'm correct on this. People look it up and they can challenge me. I think either the age of 75 or 80, what he did, because he was also very big into swimming, he had something, a special bit they put in his mouth and around his neck and such. And I believe that he hauled somewhere either it was 10 or 15 rowboats as he was swimming. And he swam, I think it was a mile and a half or 2 miles in San Francisco Bay, pulling these rowboats. I mean, this guy was, he wasn't just a fitness guru. He was the embodiment of what the human spirit, not the body, what the human spirit could do, and the body came along. So as I said, I am now the incorporation of that. And I share this with everybody because it's the mind that is the driver. Of course, the body has to be willing, there has to be some mechanism to do it. And you want to really do something. You want to push yourself. I don't care if it's walking, it's running, it's swimming, it's bicycling, whatever the event is, just do it. Matter of fact, let's just go here and talk about this is a lead up to learn to love dog poop because there are three aspects of life, Brandy, that I urge everybody to get involved in. One is called learn how to blab. The second one has to do with movement, and that has to do with skipping. And the other is learn to love dog poop. So let's talk about skipping for the moment. So everybody knows that you can walk and you can run. Walking is a wonderful exercise, especially power walking. Even a stroll is fine. However, I urge people when you learn that if you can walk, and I can't do this at the moment, meant that I can walk. I walk very slowly because I walk with my 7-foot walking wand, and I have special devices on my legs, braces and such. So I can walk. I walk very slowly. It takes me half hour to go 2/10 of a mile. However, I urge people to walk and walk at a brisk pace if you can. It's a wonderful thing. As long as you get your heart rate up and you're moving, life is wonderful because motion is lotion, says Jack LaLanne. The other thing is running. Now, running is a wonderful exercise. It happens to be that running really does work adversely with people who have issues with knees and joints and hips and things like that. So that's why swimming happens to be the best exercise in the world, in my humble opinion. And I am prejudiced. However, when you're in the ability to be in the water serves two purposes that are remarkable. One is, again, you can walk in the water. Last time I did walk on water caused a cessation of the world, so I don't want to do that. But walking in the water is a wonderful exercise because you're working against the the force of the water. And swimming, of course, is fabulous. The other part is that, and this has happened to me many times in the course of gaining back some movement, is that we have gravity in the world. And if you fall down on a hard surface, it hurts,
Yeah, it does.
especially if you're fragile. I was fragile. I fell down lots of times, had to go to the hospital a number of times because you fall down, something gets twisted, et cetera, et cetera. So walking in the water right away removes the fear of falling. And the mind is the most powerful aspect of the human condition. We talked about it in the beginning of the show. The mind and the heart. These are the two forces that really dominate your world. And when you can be what I call a spiritual chiropractor, actually, when I look at you, Randy, I'm surprised that you're not a chiropractor. You have this wonderful uh, healing feeling that emanates from you. So I usually
Thank
urge
you.
people to become what's called a spiritual chiropractor. So we all know what a chiropractor is physically, right? Feeling a little out of sorts, you go to the chiropractor, he or she goes, "Oh," and you're aligned, right? So we do the same thing with our mind and our words and our deeds. So when you can align your thoughts and your words and your deeds in good, so your thoughts are always in good, your words are always good, and your deeds are good, now you're in spiritual alignment, everything in your world becomes aligned. And by definition, these are the laws of thermodynamics. Nothing untoward can happen. It has to be, again, you're working in the world of everything is happening for your benefit because everything about you is thinking, speaking, and acting positive and in good.
So to dig into that a little bit, I think myself or others might misinterpret that in saying, well, if I am spiritually aligned, then nothing untoward can happen. What that does not mean is that you will not face adversity.
Oh,
What it does mean is
thank
that
you.
when you face adversity,
Correct.
you realize that it's for me. not to me.
Correct.
That's what spiritual alignment does.
Stuff will and can and will happen.
Right.
Oh, it's called life. All right. And as Randy pointed out so eloquently, it's whenever adversity strikes, as it will, it's for benefit. Now, to be able to use that, isn't that what they call jujitsu and things like that? You're using the enemy's
Yeah. The,
force,
the momentum and force
right, against
against it.
it
Yeah.
for you. So this
Mhm.
what we want to talk about. So again, we're balancing out these two extremes of walking or running. And the one that people tend not to do, even though they did it when they were kids, especially girls, this is what I recommend most for anybody who will listen to me, is to skip. Skipping, see, right away, I say the word and you had a smile on your face.
You know why I smile, Barry? It's because I have so much joy in skipping. My family loves going to Disneyland, and we go all the time. And my daughters, when they were little girls, I I just look at them and I say, "Will you hold my hand and skip down Main Street with me?" And now my daughter's grown. They're grown, older teenagers now, and she still will hold my hand and skip with me.
Okay.
And so, and even my wife, when we're there, I said, "Will you hold my hand and skip with me on Main Street?" Because I want that joy and whimsy.
Everybody that has tuned in to Sparks of Gratitude has just gained a 35 carat, flawless, bright, beautiful diamond. Because what I try to urge people to do is what Randy just told me it does. The first level of skipping is skip. Just do it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your gender is. Skip. When people come to me, I urge them, just, I don't care if you skip just one block. I'd like you to do more, but skip a block. Skip a block, maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks. Skip. First of all, get your heart rate up. You feel good. You can't not smile when you're skipping. Now, the next step is to put out your hand and have somebody hold that hand and skip with that person. Highest level is when you're skipping and there's two hands, maybe even those two hands are holding others' two hands, and you're skipping with family members. Because there is nothing, if you are blessed to either have a child, be close to a child, or be a childlike with other people who may be adults but are really childlike, and you're skipping together, it's glorious. As you said, you can imagine you're skipping on Main Street, you can get on Main Street. Doesn't matter where you are. Skipping is one of the greatest attributes of the human condition. It far surpasses walking. It far surpasses running because it does everything that you want for the body and the mind. It gets your heart rate up. It puts a smile on your face. Your mind is whirling with love. It is the ultimate immersion in joy. And
Oh,
so skipping is one of the great secrets for living in joy daily. Thank you, Randy. I mean, we couldn't have said this better, right? And I'm picturing you on Main Street with your daughter and your wife and just doing it. There's nothing better.
it's no, and you know what? We're gonna be in about a week. We're gonna be doing it together. So, and I'm gonna be thinking about you when I do it this time, which makes me even more excited.
Oh,
Um, so
I am touched. That is so wonderful.
okay, so Barry, we've been filling in all these stories, kind of wrapping around underneath this, and we're coming to the end. And now we say, all right, with this tapestry that we've woven in this conversation, now let's wrap it in and say, okay, how does that mean we fall in love with dog poop?
Okay. Now, actually, I didn't say fall. I said learn to love dog.
Learn to love. Oh, there you go.
Learn.
Very important.
So, first of all, dog poop is ubiquitous. I think everybody would agree to that, right? No matter where you live in the world, there's dog poop. And oftentimes people have an adverse effect or reaction response to dog poop.
Of course.
We're going to give the acronym for dog poop and then go deeper into understanding what it is. So, dog poop stands for doing of good, power of one person. So, let's unpack. The doing of good, I think everybody understands. Everybody wants to do good. Unless you, and there are some exceptions in life. We leave those aside. People want to do good. People recognize, but by doing good, especially in a willing situation, there's two kinds of giving. There's giving in order to receive. That's called reciprocity, transactional giving. What we call willingly giving is the higher level. That's willingly giving for one reason only, because you want to give. You want to be of benefit. You want to be of service. You want to help. You want to, I'm here to serve. That's service, willingly giving. When you do that, doing of good in a willingly giving manner, and you recognize that that sends out ripples, that just like the proverbial stone in the placid lake sends out the ripples. What we see as ripples, you might think ends at a shoreline, excuse the pun, but those ripples, if you can measure them with some sort of mechanism, never stop. That energy continues. Infinite. It cannot stop. There's nothing that will stop the ripples of goodness in the world. No mountain, no waterfall, no barrier exists to doing of good when it's done for good. Now here comes the genius of it, power of one person. So people think, name some great people. Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Marie Curie, Mother Teresa. Just big people, right? The genius of life is that no one is any different than you. And the proof, the good Lord made you. You're a creation of God. And I call a cog. A cog is people think is a small piece in a big piece of machinery. Cog stands for channel of goodness, a child of God. So when you recognize that the machine can't run efficiently without you, now you recognize, oh, okay, I have worth. You have no difference in your ability to influence the world for goodness than Nelson Mandela. Oh, come on, Barry, look what he did. He saved the nation. Okay, so he had a bigger role than you. He's a bigger cog. You're a smaller cog. So both cogs, the machine can't work without you. The power of one person. When you recognize that you, as one human being, make a difference in the world, remember, go mad. That was one of the two foundations.
Make a
Go
difference.
mad is number two. You make a difference in the world. When you recognize truly that you make a difference, the power of one person, and here's where it gets great, and it relates to skipping. Because when you're walking along and you're with a friend, let's say, and now invariably there'll be some dog poop around you, and your friend will look at it, and you look, think, and you start laughing, say, ha, 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 ha. Your friend says, what are you doing? What are you laughing at? I say, dog poop. I love dog poop. Your friend will say, what are you, crazy? What's that? You can talk about what we learned today. And you tell them what it means. Doing of good, power of one person, revelation. Eyes open, mind expand, heart opens up. There's nothing greater in the world than enabling another human being to recognize how great they are. So now, like, take the analogy of skipping. When you're skipping down Main Street with your daughter, that's not just two people or a father and a daughter skipping down Main Street in Disneyland, which in and of itself is a glorious picture where there's angels singing and telling you. It's that you've infused another human being with the power that they have to make a difference in the world, to bring about goodness on the highest level possible. And that person now reaches out to another person. So now you have you reaching out to two, and reach out to four, to 8, to 16, 32, 64, 128, and it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. It's a tsunami of goodness. One person. That's dog poop.
Wow. Barry, I cannot fully express to you the gratitude I feel for what you do, for what I feel when you share this, for what I feel is now possible, what I believe I am, what I mean, what I can become, and what difference I can make. And I hope everybody listening feels the same thing. I'm so grateful for you and for the time that you decided to share with me for the second time.
in different.
And I hope it's not the last. I'd love to have you on the show again, and, we can leave the people wanting.
Ooh, that's a nice thing. Yes. I would like to do 2 things if we may.
Please, and I think I know where this is going.
One is to do a hug,
Yep.
and the second is to do a blessing for everybody.
Please, let's do this.
Tell everybody what HUG stands for. In your case, wonderful Randy. Heartfelt, unlimited gratitude.
Rad.
Oh, by the way, we should tell people, but you'll have it in the show notes, that I am privileged to say that I published 4 books in the past year and a half, and you can have any one of them for at no cost as an ebook just by going to barryshore.com. Again, it's in the show notes. Just click and you get a book that's called The Joy of Living. You deserve it. You can get a book on acronyms. It's a great book, 100 plus acronyms. And you can get a book called Oh Shift, where we put the F just a little bit of a line in the Scrabble tiles. You have a book called Reframing the Art of Living, which has a story about my mother, and all available. You have one for no cost. Just do it. If you want to buy them, you can buy them also, and they're great for you and for others, etc., etc. So I wanted to mention it because of the hug, heartfelt, unlimited gratitude. Are we ready, Randy?
We're ready. This is how we do it, everybody. We got Barry and I have our arms out, and here comes the hug. Thank you.
And our blessing from wonderful Randy and Barry is go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference.
Thank you so much, Barry, and thank you everyone for listening. Go mad, everyone.